Hare Krishna Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudiraye
Tato Jayamudiraye
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu
Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhakte Bhavati Naistiki.
Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki.
So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 1, the activities of Maharaj Priyavrata, Text 16. Muktopi tavad vibrayat swadeham
Muktopi tavad vibrayat swadeham
Arabdham asnam abhimanyasu sunyaha
Arabdhamashnam abhimanashunyah
Yathanubhutam pratiyat nidraha
Yathanubhutam pratiyata nidraha
Kimtva anya dehaya gunan vrunke
Kintua manadehaya gunana vrinte
Mukto pitavad viprayat swadeham
Mukto pitavad vibrayat swadeham
Arabdham asnam abhimannasunyaha
Arabdhamashnam abhimanashunyah
Yathanubhutam pratiyata nidraha
Yathanubhutam pratiyata nidraha
Kimtva anya dehaya gunan vrunke
Kintua manadehaya gunana vrinte
Mukto pitavad vibrayat swadeham
Mukto pitavad vibrayat swadeham
Arabdha asnam abhimanasunyah
Arabdhamashnam abhimanashunyah
Yathanubhutam pratiyata nidraha
Yathanubhutam pratiyata nidraha
Kintva anya dehaya gunan vrunte
Kintua manadehaya gunana vrinte Mukto मुक्तोऽपि तावद् बिभ्रयात् स्वदेहम् आरब्धमश्नम् अभिमानशून्यः यथानुभूतं प्रपियातनिद्रः किं त्वन्यदेहाय गुणान् वृङ्क्ते
मुक्तोऽपि तावद् बिभ्रयात् स्वदेहम्
मुक्तोऽपि तावद् बिभ्रयात् स्वदेहम्
आरब्धमश्नन् अभिमानशून्यः
आरब्धमश्नन् अभिमानशून्यः
यथानुभूतं प्रतियातनिद्रः
यथानुभूतं प्रतियातनिद्रः
किं त्वन्यदेहाय गुणान् वृङ्क्ते
किं त्वन्यदेहाय गुणान् वृङ्क्ते
मुक्तोऽपि तावद् बिभ्रयात् स्वदेहम्
मुक्तोऽपि तावद् बिभ्रयात् स्वदेहम्
आरब्धमश्नन् अभिमानशून्यः
आरब्धमश्नन् अभिमानशून्यः
यथानुभूतं प्रतियातनिद्रः
यथानुभूतं प्रतियातनिद्रः
किं त्वन्यदेहाय गुणान् वृङ्क्ते
किं त्वन्यदेहाय गुणान् वृङ्क्ते
मुक्तोऽपि तावद् बिभ्रयात् स्वदेहम्
मुक्तोऽपि तावद् बिभ्रयात् स्वदेहम्
आरब्धमश्नन् अभिमानशून्यः
आरब्धमश्नन् अभिमानशून्यः
यथानुभूतं प्रतियात् निद्रः
यथानुभूतं प्रतियातनिद्रः
किं त्वन्यदेहाय गुणान् न वृङ्क्ते
किं त्वन्यदेहाय गुणान् वृङ्क्ते
Word to word meaning. Muktaha,
मुक्तः
a liberated person,
liberated person
api,
अपि
even,
even
tavat,
तावत्
so long,
so long
vibrayat,
विभ्रयात्
must maintain,
must maintain
swadeham,
स्वदेहम्
his own body,
his own body
arabdham,
आरब्धम्
obtained as a result of past activity,
obtained as a result of past activity
asan,
आसन
accepting,
accepting
abhimana sunyaha,
अभिमानशून्यः
without
erroneous
erroneous conceptions,
without erroneous conceptions
yatha,
यथा
as
अनुभूतं
what was perceived,
what was perceived
pratiyata nidraha,
प्रतियातनिद्रः
one who has awakened from sleep,
one who has awakened from sleep
kimtu,
किन्तु
but anya dehaya,
अन्यदेहाय
for another material body,
for another material body
gunan,
गुणान्
the material qualities,
some material qualities
na,
na
never,
never
vrungte,
वृङ्क्ते
enjoys.
enjoys
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Even if one is liberated, he nonetheless accepts the body he has received according to his past karma, without misconceptions. However, he regards his enjoyment and suffering due to that karma the way an awakened person regards a dream he had while sleeping. He thus remains steadfast and never works to achieve another material body under the influence of the three modes of material nature. Say as we don't want 2 days flowers. Purport. The difference between a liberated and conditioned soul is that the conditioned soul is under the concept of bodily life, whereas a liberated person knows that he is not the body but a spirit, different from the body. Priyavrata might have thought that although a conditioned soul is forced to accept according to the law of nature, why should he, who was far advanced in spiritual understanding, accept the same kind of bondage and impediments to spiritual advancement? To answer this doubt, Lord Brahma informed him that even those who are liberated do not resent accepting in the present body the results of their past activities. While sleeping, one dreams unreal things, but when he awakens, he disregards them and makes progress in factual life. Similarly, a liberated person, one who has completely understood that he is not the body but a spirit soul, disregards past activities performing in ignorance and performs his present activities in such a way that they produce no reactions. This is described in Bhagavad Gita 3.9. यज्ञार्थ कर्मणो यत्र लोकोयम कर्म बंधनः. If one performs activities for the satisfaction of Supreme Personality, the Yajna Purusha, his work does not produce reactions. Whereas karmis who act for themselves are bound by the reactions of their work. A liberated person, therefore, do not think about what he has ignorantly done in the past. Instead, he acts in such a way that he will not produce another body by fruitive activities. As clearly mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Mam chayo vivicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityetan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Bhagavad Gita 14.26. Regardless of what we have done in our past lives, if we engage ourselves in unalloyed devotional service to the Lord in this life, we will always be situated in a Brahma Bhuta liberated state, free from reactions, and will not be obliged to accept another material body. Takta deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. Bhagavad Gita 4.9. After giving up the body, one who has acted in the way does not accept another material body, but instead goes back home, back to Godhead. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhisham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamavyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagratam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratishave Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanuste Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhute Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate girim yadkupatamaham vande Shri Guru Deenatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hari Om Tat Sat. Translation: Even if one is liberated, he nonetheless accepts the body he has received according to his past karma. Without misconceptions, however, he regards his enjoyment and suffers due to that karma the way an awakened person regards a dream he had while sleeping. He thus remains steadfast and never works to achieve another material body under the influence of the three modes of material nature. Hare Krishna. So, here this chapter describing about the activities of Maharaj Priyavata, and little background, we know that in the past slokas we have understood that Uttanapad has and his dynasty has been ruled till this certain time, and now they are all retired, and no one is there to rule and to take care of this planet. So Swayambhu Manu, thinking that Uttanapada has done his job, now no one is there, so he was thinking to convince Priyavata to take up this charge of taking care of ruling over this universe. And Priyavata, like he already there in a renounced order of life, he didn't enter into the Grihastha ashram, thinking that by the expert guidance of Narad Muni, he taken into this renounced order of life. But the situation is such a way like Swayambhu Manu came to Priyavata Maharaj to take up this responsible position to rule the world and to enter into the Grihastha ashram. So here Priyavata was not willing to take that kind of role, because he feels that he is already into this realm sort of life where under the expert guidance of Narad Muni he was executing his Krishna conscious activities very nicely. Now he don't want enter into the Grihastha ashram and like go take some troubles or impends in the path of Krishna consciousness. So he was thinking like whether to take or not. He was in dilemma. Then Lord Brahma, he comes to convince Maharaj Priyavata. So most of the previous slokas where Lord Brahma started speaking, we can see he was giving all the philosophical points only. So mostly all philosophy is there, so which is beyond my understanding, is very difficult. But somehow by the purports and by some of the lectures which I heard, I can figure it out like I understood few points which I am going to share today. So here we can see like Priyavata was very much concerned about his stage, like he is already practicing very nicely Krishna consciousness. Then why he don't think like he was not feeling like to change his ashram and wanted to take some kind of responsibilities where those responsibilities are like going to impede his Krishna consciousness. So to clear his doubts, Lord Brahma saying here in this particular sloka, even in the purport, Prabhupada clearly mentions about who is a conditioned soul and who is a liberated soul. Because Priyavata Maharaj was thinking, if I enter into the Grihastha ashram, then I will become conditioned. I will become a conditioned soul, because now I am already a liberated soul. I am practicing Krishna consciousness very nicely. Then if I take to this responsibility, then I will become conditioned soul. So with that fear he was having in his heart, so he was not willing to take immediately when Swayambhu Manu requested. So he was not really immediately wanted to take. Then Brahma has to come down to convince him. Then in this sloka, especially Brahma is giving this, who is conditioned soul and who is liberated soul. And in the purport starting itself, Prabhupada clearly says the difference between a liberated and a conditioned soul is that The conditioned soul is under the conception of bodily life, whereas the liberated person knows that he is not the body but a spirit different from the body. So Priyavata might have thought that although a conditioned soul is forced to accept according to the laws of nature, why should he, who was far advanced in spiritual understanding, accept the same kind of bondage and impediments to spiritual advancement? So it was clear. So Priyavata Maharaj was having this doubt, like I'm advanced in spiritual understanding. Then why should I take to this? Why should I should take or forced to be conditioned to this kind of responsibilities? So the further slokas we can see Brahma gives more philosophical understanding about this, more clarity about this. But in this sloka, even Prabhupada clearly says that the one who is liberated person, he is not on the battlefield platform. He understood that he is a spirit soul. The one who doesn't have this kind of understanding, he is called conditioned soul. So here, even if one is into any responsibility, but still he is not thinking that he is a body, he is a spirit soul. He constantly remembers that he is a spirit soul, and he remembers that he is a servant of the Lord, then he is a liberated soul. He is not conditioned soul. So here Brahma came down to clarify Priyavrata's doubt, saying that even though if you take to these responsibilities, you will not become a conditioned soul. Because you can see this kind of dilemma even Arjuna was having. When he was in the battlefield, Arjuna was thinking if I start killing my own relatives, if I start killing my own spiritual master and friends and brothers, then I will get lot of sin. Then I will get conditioned. I will get lot of sin, I will get conditioned. So rather to avoid this, I better let them rule whatever they want, whatever they want to do, let them do. I don't want to get into it, so better I will remain, I will not fight. I will remain, I don't want to fight, I will not get into this kind of entanglement. So better I will not fight. But Arjuna in the second chapter you can see his chastises saying that no, it's your duty as a Kshatriya, you should fight. That will not lead you to become a conditioned soul. Rather, by following my instructions, you will become liberated. You will become perfect. So here also, Priyavrata Maharaj having the same kind of dilemma, if I take to this responsible position, I may get entangled into this material world. I am already in a kind of some elevated platform, I did so much tapasya and I did a lot of devotional activities. Now I came to this level, then why don't I spoil? I don't want to spoil my consciousness, taking to this responsible life. Then Lord Brahma says no, this will not happen for you. And when you take this responsible life, Brahma says no, I will give you guarantee that you are not going to entangle in this material life. Rather, at the end you can see, Prabhupada also says, and here Lord Brahma also says by taking to this kind of responsible activity, you are going to back to God in this very life. And that is guarantee. That is being given, said to Priyavrata. So, here, we should not think when we take to this responsible life, we will get entangled. Rather, we should think that by taking to this responsible life and practicing or continuing our Krishna conscious activities. Now, when you do any activity, so we do it in a Krishna conscious way. So when we keep Krishna as a center, not that we as a center, I am a doer. Whenever we think I am a doer, then we will get reactions out of that activity what we are doing. So when we think that I am not a doer, I am just following the instructions, whatever my duty, I should do it. So when we do in this conscious, then we will not get entangled. So even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna that even though if you are liberated, so when you practice, if someone like I'm a conditioned soul, I'm got entangled in this material world, but when I think, when I do activities Krishna conscious way, then I will get liberated from this material consciousness. Now I am liberated, then I should continue my responsibilities. Yes, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, even though if you are liberated soul, but still you should continue your duties to set an example to the other living entities. So that is very important. Even though if you are liberated, you have to take these responsibilities, and you should guide the people or guide the show them how to execute those responsibilities in Krishna conscious way. So here also Priyavata Maharaj is being guided in that way, saying that you have to take to this responsible life because no one is there and no one is qualified. So you are much qualified to this position. You take this responsible life and practice it, execute in a such a way like in a Krishna conscious way that others also will follow you. So in that way, like Brahma was Lord Brahma is like guiding Priyavata Maharaj that when you take to this Krishna conscious life, or when you take to this responsible life, you will not get entangled. And I heard one story which is being narrated by Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj. Like when this is a Prabhupada story. When Prabhupada was leaving from one country and he's going to take a flight and going to another country, so all the devotees were gathered and they are there in the airport to give send off to the Prabhupada. At that time, there was an announcement saying that flight got delayed for some hours. So all the devotees were very happy because they will get some more time and association of Prabhupada. So, and Prabhupada also giving his association to them, and they were not official gathering over there. When there was official gathering, then will certain time only they get time to go and meet and come back. But here it's it's a open everyone taking advantage of association of Prabhupada. And Prabhupada also nicely speaking to them with a lot of love and care. So in that conversation was going on, so Prabhupada saw a child on his mother was holding a child, and child was very he was moving his hands and legs, indicating that he want to get down. He want to get down. He want to go around and see this new place. Then Prabhupada also observing that, then mother is trying to restrict it, but it was beyond her control. So she left the child. Okay, so she kept her child down. Then child started going around. Then Prabhupada, he noticed one thing. Child, when he was left down on the ground, he started moving front, taking few steps, and he sees back his mother. Then again he turn around and he goes front and he goes few further more steps and he sees back whether mother is watching him or not. So like that it was being done, child was doing this, then Prabhupada also observing this. Then Prabhupada says to mother that you hide behind me. Behind the chair, Prabhupada where he is sitting. Then immediately she is a disciple of Prabhupada and initiated disciple. So she comes and hides behind the Prabhupada. Then child, when he goes further few steps and he's turned back, for his astonishment, he didn't found his mother. Then at that time, his expressions got changed, and with his concerned expression, concerned that where is mother, he started crying. He started crying, the intents of crying become more. Then Prabhupada saw the child and he gave a sign come here to him. The child comes near to the Prabhupada. He started more crying very vigorously. saying that, no, where is my mother, Prabhupada? Where is she? Where she has gone? Then after some time, Prabhupada says, now it's enough, you can come and take your child. Then mother comes behind the Prabhupada, and she was hiding behind the Prabhupada, and she comes and she picks the child. Then immediately child stopped crying and he started laughing. So this Jayadatta Maharaj was saying in his lecture, one of the lecture, that like this child was crying that he was not able to see his mother, and when he got the mother through Prabhupada, then he became very happy again. Similarly, a living entity, he was there with the Krishna, like a child was there with the mother, safe. We are also there with the Krishna, but we wanted to see this material world, how it looks like. Then we came out of the Krishna's like view, and then initially we were like very cautious, like whether mother is watching or not, Krishna is watching or not. Then after some time we forget Krishna. We forget, we came to this material world and we forget completely Krishna. And now we are crying. We are trying to be happy, but we are not happy. At least child knows that he is crying for Krishna. We don't know for what we are crying for. So, at that time when we are looking for happiness, what is our real happiness? There comes a guru. So for the child, Prabhupada was there, and he came to Prabhupada and asking, where is my mother? So we, in this situation, where to get a real happiness, how to get a real happiness, we should approach a spiritual master. And through spiritual master, we can get Krishna. And when we get Krishna, then no more no suffering. The real happiness, what we are looking into, we'll get that real happiness. Similarly, here the living entities are came out of Krishna's association, and they came into this material world to exploit that what is there, and we got entangled. And we forgot completely who is Krishna and what is our relation with the Krishna. And when we ask about from where we can get this real happiness, there when we surrender to the Guru, when we accept a Guru and surrender to him, he will show us the right path. Until unless it will be difficult to come to that, come out of this entanglement. Here you can see Priyarath Maharaj was in confusion, and he has 3 gurus, bona fide gurus. One is Narad Muni, who is his actual guru, and one more is his father, Swayambhu Manu, he is also a guru. And Lord Brahma is a Sampradaya Acharya, he is also guru. And 3 of them is guiding Priyarath Maharaj. And Lord Brahma, here you can see, he says, he confirms no, you please follow the instructions what I am giving, your back to Godhead is for sure you will go back to Godhead. Here the child, when he approached Prabhupada and vigorously crying that where is my mother, and Prabhupada showed where is the mother. And similarly, when we approach our spiritual master and ask where is where I can get real happiness, how to come out of this entanglement, our spiritual master will help us to come out of it. If we don't approach, then we will be remain in this same situation. So Priyarath Maharaj has been given a guarantee that if you follow, and even in the I think it's second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th chapter I guess, where Brahma himself says that I am not saying what is there whimsically, I don't guide whimsically. No, Lord Krishna guides me through my heart and I instruct you accordingly. I don't give my own concocted instructions or something else. So it is clearly said that in that shloka it is said like his mind, his words, his actions, everything is in line with Krishna. So it is clearly said. So here Brahma is instructing Priyavat Maharaj that there is no doubt on that whatever Brahma is instructing. So Priyavat Maharaj can simply accept what Brahma is saying, and if you execute that with full hearted, then he will achieve the right result. So uh, uh, so there is no doubt in this, like whether if I take the responsible life, whether I will be in liberated person or not. Definitely, if whoever taken this responsible position, like even in our Krishna consciousness, we can see like there are so many grahasthas where they have a lot of responsibilities. So they can take those responsibilities. They can't avoid taking those responsibilities. Only if I become a brahmachari, then only I can become a liberated person and execute nicely Krishna consciousness, and I can perfect my life and go back home, back to Godhead. Yes, that is a one way. There is one path where you can take to this renounce out of life. But if you take to grahastha life also, there is a chance where even you can go back home, back to Godhead if you practice, execute your responsibilities in a Krishna conscious way. So when you execute them in a Krishna conscious way, and you can see there are many life stories, examples of devotees in the Srimad Bhagavatam, how they have practiced their grahastha life and they have perfected their life. So in this way, there is no doubt. Some of the disciples of Prabhupada, they asked, like how can we convince that we are liberated? We can't see that we are liberated. Then Prabhupada says like confirms it that you are all liberated because you have taken the path of Krishna consciousness. At least you may not realize that you are a liberated soul, but you have taken this path of Krishna consciousness where you are going to be liberated for sure. So Prabhupada says this. So there is no doubt. So here that doubt what Priyavrata Maharaj was having, so Lord Brahma is clarifying, saying that you please follow instructions, and there is no doubt to be liberated. And there is no impediments in the path of bhakti what you are going to execute. So you can continue your Krishna conscious activities and you can do your duties in a Krishna conscious way, then you are still will be liberated and back to Godhead path will be like for sure in this very life. Yeah. I just pause today's class. Any questions, doubts, comments?
Krishna, so this is a nice point. Even in liberated soul, if he takes responsibilities as ordained by the superiors, so he will not get involved. So he will rather remain in a liberated state. And then there is nice point that we are looking for Krishna. That is our real happiness. And the spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada, so they can actually give us Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the nice class. So you mentioned that how people are crying and they don't know what they're crying for. That was very nice. Everyone is crying for Krishna. And when the person realizes or gets an opportunity and the good fortune arises, he meets with the Guru. And then when he cries in front of the Guru will tell why is he crying, or tell why to cry. So, so in this way, when we approach the spiritual master, if we have the right goal and if we cry for the right goal, the spiritual master can give us the right way. That is Krishna himself. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Very nice class. So crying got the meaning of crying here. So before Krishna consciousness, coming to Krishna consciousness also we are crying here and there, but after coming into devotee association, then they are understood why we have to cry the real thing is. So after coming to Krishna consciousness also it's very difficult after knowing why to cry, what to cry for. So Guru Maharaj also says you have to cry that you are not able to cry. If you are not able to cry, cry for not able to goes on. So like this. So have to surrender to Guru, follow his instructions and cry in front of him that I don't have Krishna, you are the only one who have Krishna. You can get it.
I got the point that whether I am a conditioned or liberated, I have to live a life in Krishna consciousness way, so that other living entities can get benefit out of this as per our spiritual masters order. One is liberated, he will still practice Krishna consciousness so that he can set an example for all the other humanity out there. And very nice story that we were to Yogi's mother and Gopal. It's an important point that you share the fact that spiritual master is one of the most important people in our lives. He can announce his from that spiritual master is he's come here to direct us back to Krishna and miss the business.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Very wonderful class. You told that our center should be Krishna while executing our daily activities such that our consciousness should be followed and we have to follow the instruction of the senior devotees, gurus. We have to take guidance. Because pure Maharaj has 3 gurus and he has taken properly guidance from them and following. So we have intelligently. So one has to like follow the instruction as far as he is committed. And you told about you told the story of Prabhupada. Prabhupada and through Guru only we can get Krishna. So otherwise there is no hope. Only Guru can get Krishna as much as he is told Krishna. Just we have to go and approach in front of the spiritual master and cry. And he told you to cry if you are not praying. I don't know how to cry, that I pray that I cry. That's how I think. Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
That one point you told me regarding to liberated. So like how person should know that when he is in liberated state. So like if the person is in Krishna consciousness in devotional path, then means next should be present. And the second point is like through the gurus we can reach towards Krishna.
Point I like to that we get many dreams and we don't calculate on dreams, we just go ahead with our routine one. Similarly, we don't have to worry about the thoughts, sometimes we concentrate on devotional service and we without any karmic reactions. That's what I'm making.
realize that whatever activities we are doing, whatever things, whatever ashram we are in, we should keep Krishna as center and we should not keep ourselves as center. And then you gave this example, the story of that child and mother. Just like child, out of ignorance, out of his less intelligence, he wanted to go separate from his mother. He thought that he'll enjoy separately. But when her mother was out of view, so he was bewildered, astonished, and he was crying that because he was not able to see his mother. Similarly, we also, out of our desire to enjoy separate from Krishna and out of enviousness from Krishna, we wanted to enjoy separately and we left the association of Krishna. And now we are suffering, and we, like half of us, most of us don't know why we are suffering. And only when we found by good fortune, when we search out, when we get a bona fide spiritual master, we are able to understand the cause of our suffering, and we are able to get relief.
गंधराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद
क्या है
Rest है।
हाँ
मैं ये